These are a few of my most valued brushes. It took me years of careful neglect to get them in the shape they're in today. This is an oil sketch on paper I did recently, and these are the brushes that played a crucial role in it. I will show you how, but first I got a drawing and an underpainting to do. For those of you in a hurry, the part where I demonstrate the use of my ragged brushes is around 3 minutes and 40 seconds. If you have a little more time, I begin with the blue of the sky, and I'm using a mix of King's blue and Scheveningen blue with a fair amount of titanium white. More and more color, and finally a pinch of ultramarine blue. I'm painting the dunes in a mixture of burnt sienna and a little yellow ochre. Later on, I will paint the color of the dune grass on top of it. Of course, this layer will have to be dry first. In the underpainting, I already anticipate the darkening of the dunes on the left by adding some sepia. The next step is to apply a color coat over the sienna. It's very important here that you dilute the paint with enough medium for it to become nice and smooth, but it should not flow. A bit of a yogurt-like thickness is perfect. You'll see why when the ragged brushes are up. At this stage I don't pay attention to the texture of the grass yet. I'm just focusing on light and dark. I'm not an artist who paints each blade of grass individually. When you do that, you're rather a draftsman with paint than a painter. No, I like a more painterly approach that suggests a world of details without actually painting them all separately. And in comes my ragged fan brush that conjures up whole bunches of grass in one movement. Next up is my spalter. With the spalter, I create a texture that contributes greatly to the suggestion of detail. You can see now why the paint of the first color code needs to have this yogurt-like consistency. At the same time, the sienna underpainting becomes visible again by here and there removing the wet top layer. I'm now going to work on the spots where the dune sand has been churned up by the wind. When I do this on panel, I usually wait until the underlayer is dry, but because this is a sketch, I remove the wet paint with my rag to prevent the color of the sand from mixing with the wet underlayer. Clothes pegs. One of the great inventions of mankind, just like paper clips, safety pins and masking tape. This part of the video is a bit off topic because I never use my ragged brushes when painting clouds. If you want to skip this part, the ragged brushes are on again at 9 minutes 4 seconds. I'm using my rag here to touch up the edges of the clouds. By removing the paint here and there, I'm interrupting the closed outline of the clouds to make them look more lifelike. Just like when I did the patches of sand in the dunes, I now remove the paint to make room for the highlights of the clouds. This prevents them from mixing with the underlying layer. To do the shadow of the dune crater, I've mixed Old Holland violet grey and titanium white with a touch of Old Holland yellow deep. Works great. Whenever you want to paint shadows in the sand, just use a touch of purple. Pure cadmium yellow with a lot of liquid to dot the sheltered slopes of the dunes with a bunch of flowers. Don't know their names, sadly. I want the focus to be more on the sunlit dune top, so I'm darkening the foreground with an olive green glaze. Olive green is a fairly transparent color on its own, and with a little thinning it's excellent for glazing. It allows to keep seeing the details of the previous layer, and it evokes a sense of shadow in the lower part of the dune. To lighten up the clouds, I used the dry brush technique, which I demonstrated in my full-length video on painting storm clouds. Click the info button at the top right of your screen and you will be linked through to my website where you can download the video. The fan brush one last time and then I'm pretty much done. I hope I've convinced you to never throw away your worn-out brushes. I rest my case.